Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for your attendance this evening in the partnership retreat offer that we're going to go through tonight. I know that you've got lots of places that you could be tonight, and I really want to acknowledge you for taking time out of your lives to explore this possibility for yourselves. It's an honor to have you with me, and it's a responsibility in facilitating this webinar tonight that I take seriously. And I promise to make our time together as valuable and meaningful as I humanly can, so that you can consider this possibility that we have to look at retreats and what retreats are, and why you may want to attend retreat, particularly as it relates to the concept of relationships, and particularly as it relates to this particular program that we've been running now for 17 years called Awaken Your Authentic Self, and its sister program, which is Partnership Living the Sacred Truth. So many people that have talked to me about retreat have asked over the years, you know, what's it all about, Dr. Tom, and what's the benefit of it to me? What is it that we're going to get out of this experience, this retreat experience? So I want to share with you. We took a poll of our past retreats experience people, and we asked them, so what did you get out of retreat? What was some of the things that you got? And I want to just read to you that list of things that they talked about. One of the things they talked about a lot is increasing their personal power, which is their sense of their ability to be able to accomplish their life's purpose, their life's mission, and be able to make a difference in the world. Because as I travel and teach and speak all over the world, one of the universal truths that I hear when I ask this question, how many people here want to make the world a better place than they found it, want to leave it a better place than they found it? And universally across the world, every place I've ever gone, 100% of the hands go up, because everybody wants to do that. And by increasing your personal power, you have the ability to increase the probability that that's going to be a reality for you. The second thing they talked about is increasing the certainty and confidence. And if you studied any of the nonverbal communication stuff, you realize that only 5%, 5 to 8% of the things that we communicate are things that are done with our spoken words. It's our nonverbal, it's our the stuff behind the words, if you will, our confidence, our certainty in who we are and what we're here to bring to the world through our products and services that really makes the biggest difference in terms of communication. So increasing that is something that many of the past retreat participants have talked about. Clarification of vision and ending procrastination. I don't know if any of you in the call or viewing this on the video viewer afterwards have been plagued with the concept of procrastination, but it seems to be coming up very commonly these days for a lot of folks. And again, it's a way to not get on with fulfilling your mission and your purpose in life. And awakening to your possibilities really can bring an end to that. Another comment we hear back a lot is it's making more time for important things in life, like family, friends, and actually time for yourself. And getting that clarity of who you are and who you're not allows you to get rid of distractions, prioritize the important things in life, and get on with accomplishing those. The fifth thing they talked about is becoming a very highly effective communicator, because we're releasing the blocks. As many of you may have heard, the #1 fear in life right now is not dying or the terrible disease, but it's actually communicating in front of other people. And I think it has to do with the fear of rejection, and my experience with that, and being a coach consultant now for 17 years, it has a lot to do with people more worried about themselves and others, because they're not clear about who they are and what it is they'd love to share with the world. So becoming a very effective communicator from the inside out is something that's a great benefit to these programs that we've manifested. Having more certainty in how to give and receive love authentically to yourself and your partner is something that's very important. And one of the exercises that we commonly work on in the program is literally how to teach others how to love us and how to be able to receive that love. Because in the world that my worldview, giving and receiving are equal parts of the same experience. And many people are much better at receiving love or understanding or caring than they are actually at, I'm sorry, they're actually better at giving than they are receiving. So they're better at giving it than they are receiving it. And so what happens is it creates an imbalance, because they're trying to give through a fire hose and they're receiving through a straw. And that's a completely imbalanced thing. And it seems counterintuitive, it seems almost healthily selfish, but if you want to be able to give more, you've got to be able to receive more. And there's a real art to that, and to why people aren't willing to receive that care and that love. And that's another benefit that comes up out of these programs that we're talking about tonight. Finding out exactly what you're here to do with your life is another benefit that's commonly referred to. Increasing your deserve level of self-esteem and lowering your stress. by just releasing some of these barriers to your own sense of authenticity. Is a very common thing we hear. Improving your physical, mental, and emotional well-being is a byproduct of all the things I've just mentioned, and becoming fully relaxed and feeling pure, powerful, and authentic. So those are the possibilities that exist by attending retreat programs. And I would like to just make a notation here that if you've never been to a retreat, retreats are very different than a seminar. Seminars are a very passive process where you're sitting and you're ingesting information and you're hopefully absorbing some of it. Advanced communication models tell us that you're likely going to retain about 15 to 20% of a seminar type environment because it's not a very active hands-on experience. A retreat is very different than that because a retreat is very much a hands-on experience. It's very experiential, it's very visceral, there's lots of opportunities to experience things, and the exercises that we work together, everybody works through together, including the facilitators, are designed to help make that retention piece rise from 15 to 20% in a passive model to up to the 85 to 95% range in an active model. So again, retreat is a very different experience than a seminar. It's not a talking head at the front of the room yattering on like I am now. It's a very, as I said, very, very hands-on experience. So I just want to make that little distinction because a lot of people don't know about that. So I thought I'd take a couple of minutes and just introduce myself to those of you who haven't met me before. My name is Dr. Tom Preston, and I don't know about you, but my high school graduation was a few years ago. I'm not 21 anymore, and I'm okay with that, quite frankly, because as much as I love my high school years, I wouldn't go back to that, that adolescent chaos for the world. But one of the commitments I made to myself at my high school graduation was that I would be a lifelong learner. And as a result of that, I actually went on to attend college university and studied at the University of Toronto before I went on to the chiropractic faculty, and I became a doctor of chiropractic. I'm very, very proud of that. It was a very tough program, very long program. But as a result of graduating with honors, I took my commitment to myself to being a lifelong learner and I applied it to that environment, and it was what allowed me to get through the program with the GPA that I was able to attend. When I got through to the end of graduation and went on to develop a practice, I took my hard work ethic from my rural upbringing and I went to work. And I developed a very, very successful practice, in fact, one of the more successful practices in Canada for many years. And as a result of the fruits of my labor were some of the things that a lot of people consider signs of success. Things like a beautiful home and a cottage property and a beautiful couple of cars and boats and all-terrain vehicles and of course my gorgeous wife and my children, and like a lot of the things that on the surface look like they would be monikers of success by a lot of people's standards. And yet strangely and almost sadly, I wasn't as fulfilled as I wanted to be. I wasn't as happy as I wanted to be. I would sometimes fail the mirror test at the end of the day and be able to look at the the man in the mirror from the old Michael Jackson song and have the eyes look back and really feel like I had been authentic that day, that I'd been as fully fulfilled and as fully I'd given everything that I had within me to the world in terms of my life and my practice and my family and my relationship with my wife and so on. And so I was restless inside, and as commonly occurs when people are restless, out of that void, then new learnings or new teachers will appear, and certainly that was the case for me. I went back to my commitment to myself at my high school graduation, and I said that I'm going to study and learn and think about these things as to why I'm not feeling as happy, fulfilled, and excited as I felt like I could or should be. And so in that came some extremely wise and studied mentors. I attended a lot of programs, a lot of seminars, a lot of retreats. I read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books, and I went on this inner journey towards my authentic self that is still going on today. It's just on a vastly accelerated path now to what it was then. And as a result of that journey, as a result of that those experiences that were really amplified over the course of a few years, there's a lot of things that happened to me. And I wanted to share with you some of those because these are possibilities for you. If you're watching this video, if you're attending this program, there's a reason why you're here. And you may have some of those same things, not feeling as fulfilled, not feeling as joyous in your life, in your business, in your relationships, which is how a lot of you came to this particular program tonight. And so I want to just share with you the story of my possibilities, of what occurred for me, and open up the possibility that these things are available for you as well. So some of the things that happened in this process of self-discovery, of my awakening to my authentic self, I became a lot happier and a lot more grateful for my life. And I came to realize that I had an amazing life, and I did always have an amazing life. I just wasn't aware of it. I wasn't as grateful for it. I didn't have the awareness is probably the best word that I can use. So that was a huge change for me. And as a result of that, I developed a sense of purpose for why I was here. And that purpose has been boiled down over many years to just two words, which is to inspire authenticity in everyone I interact with, in every business that I run, and in every relationship that I'm in. And I'm happy to say that as much as that's a vitalistic ongoing process, and I think it'll always grow and I'll continue to be more authentic, it's certainly much more authentic experience than what I had lived in the past. That sense of fulfillment and joy that comes from being fulfilled has started to really boil over, if you will. I became less stressed, more peaceful, and a lot more confident in my life and who I was and who I wasn't. As a result of that, my ego literally shrank, and I wasn't rattled by things as much as I used to be. I wasn't triggered by things, and my relationship with my wife absolutely skyrocketed. Even though we'd been in a relationship for a long time, we're one of those rare couples who actually met in high school and dated in high school and were married actually during our university careers. And here we are more than 30 years later, and we're still together, which is, again, I know a bit of a rarity, but it's something that we've worked at. And some of these things I'm going to share with you tonight, these possibilities, these experiences that we design our retreats around, are some of the main reasons why we have such an amazing relationship. It's full of passion and possibilities and the hope that comes from a renewed commitment to each other, literally on a day-by-day basis. So I don't want to blow smoke up anybody's rear end. It's not a Pollyanna experience. We still have our squabbles and our challenges, and we still push each other's buttons. We'll talk about that as we go through the night. But it's certainly a committed relationship, and one that is very fulfilling and joyous for both of us. I also started to care and love myself even more, despite my weaknesses and flaws, and my good, my bad, and my ugly, if you will. And I would offer, with as much respect as I can offer to anyone watching this video on this call tonight, all of us have good, bad, and ugly parts. And welcome to the human race. That's part of the joy of being human. We all have those warts and foibles. And yet knowing that hopefully will give you some sense of peace and some sense of confidence that so does everybody else. And you know what? That's okay. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you less. It doesn't make somebody else more. It's just different. And different isn't wrong. Different isn't bad. Different is just different. And so getting the chance to really care about yourself deeply allows you then to express that caring and love out to others. And that's really what partnership, living the sacred truth, which I'll talk about later on in our time together, is really what it's all about. I became more authentic, more powerful, and we talked about that a little bit. Another really interesting byproduct was that my already lucrative business doubled its revenues and tripled its net. And so there's a whole lot more abundance being expressed in my life with a whole lot less effort. I already talked about my relation with my wife. My relation with my children and friends accelerated to be more authentic and more fulfilling. And literally it just moved on to a whole other level of reality. So that was my experience, and as a result of that experience, I apologize, that basically every inside-out measurable metric that I could come up with was basically expanded upon. And what I started to notice was that colleagues and business owners that I interacted with started to ask me how to share with them, how I was able to work a 25-hour work week, take 10 weeks of holidays per year on average, and earn a really nice six-figure income. People in the more lifestyle side of things started to ask me how I was so joyous and happy all the time, how I was so fulfilled, how I had such an amazing committed relationship. And literally, I started coaching, advising, and consulting with people who wanted to grow from the inside out and reap the benefits of a more authentic life. And so I started a company called Full Circle Coaching and Consulting to provide a vehicle to provide that service. And for the last 17 years, we've been coaching and consulting some of the most successful lay people, entrepreneurs, healthcare professionals in the world. And we've helped them awaken to the possibility of what it means to be authentic in their lives and really help them to realize their full potential personally and professionally as a result of that realizations. So that's a little bit of background, folks, about me and how I came to be here tonight to share some time with you. As a result of that coach consulting advising experience in the business that we've been running now for 17 years, I've been constantly looking for more effective and efficient ways to help people get to the root of their most authentic way to be in the world. How to help them clear away those things that are in the way of them being their most authentic self and having the most authentic relationships they can have, and having the fulfillment and the joy and the peace and the prosperity and the abundance and stuff that comes from that. So I'll tell you a brief story. I was attending one of my mentors programs in Houston, Texas. We were on the 52nd floor of the Galleria, in the Galleria area of Houston. And it was actually an interesting space because we were actually over the clouds sometimes. It's kind of freaky there. But anyways, while I was in this experience, which was a 10-day complete conceptual reorientation about reality, we were working on the Hindu traditions on one of the days, and we were working on mantras and mandalas. And mantras are word enunciations, if you will, that allow you to ground in, and mandalas are word pictures that are coming from, you know, above, down, inside out. And during this experience, I had this mandala appear to me, which was of a International Leadership and Healing Conference Center that I would help design and manifest. And there we would help people connect to their most authentic sense of self and help them get to that place that I had had the privilege of moving towards. And I want to be clear, I'm continuing to move towards, because it is an ongoing vitalistic process. The place was so clear to me in this visual I had, in this mandala I had, that it was so obvious. I could fly above it as if I was in an airplane and look down upon it from, you know, thousands of feet. I could walk through it as if I was a small person or an animal and see all the rooms and the buildings and everything. And it was just so strong that when I came back, and I truly believe it was a divinely inspired vision, when I came back to my home, I knew it was within a 200-mile radius of my home. And so I put out feelers to realtors and so on within that 200-mile radius, and I gave them a very visual description of what it was, and I knew it was very rustic and very remote. And they literally, I said to some of them, please don't waste my time. If it's not what I've described, you know, please don't waste my time. And some of them did, of course, as they would, looking for a sale. And others I didn't hear from for a long period of time. And there's this one gentleman who called me literally 2 years afterwards, and a nice French-Canadian gentleman. And he said, Dr. Preston, I think I found your place. And sure enough, when I went over and observed the place, I was on the property for just a few minutes, and in fact, I felt like I'd come home. I recognized the place from the vision of many years earlier. And so we literally purchased that particular property, and that is our Canadian location for our retreats. We have other retreats that we do in the wintertime in California, and in the fall we do them in the state of Colorado. So we've got several locations that we do retreats at, and over the last 17 years we've done literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have been to our programs, to Awaken Your Authentic Self and Partnership, Living the Sacred Truth. It's an honor to have had those people there, and we're actually, matter of fact, I think somebody that's going to be speaking a little bit later has just joined us. So hi, Christina, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Tom.
So again, what the history of the programs, really what happened is they started out with the Awaken Your Authentic Self program, but what happened is we found that the energy of the program was made up a lot of the people who were there. And so we had some individuals who came, and we also had some couples who came and some groups that came, and again, very diverse groups. But a lot of times we had people come up to us and say, you know what, boy, I really wish my intimate partner was here to share this with me and to have this experience together. And so what we did is we actually started to create the couples program, or the partnership program, which is Living the Sacred Truth. And one of the biggest differences between that and the Awakening Authentic Self is the fact that only couples are allowed in that part of the program. We started taking many of the learnings and teachings from my life and from my wife and I's experience together as a couple, some of our great teachers and mentors, and some of our own experiences, and designed the advanced, sort of, if you will, partnership Living the Sacred Truth program. And what happens now is we actually run the two programs like sister programs that happen simultaneously. And so there's the opportunity to go as an individual and have that experience, or to go as a couple and go down sort of that track or that path, right? So I want to talk to you just for a few minutes, folks, about what it actually means to awaken to your authentic self. I think a lot of times people are confused by that language, and they're wondering what that actually means. And I want to just give you my interpretation of it for the possibility it can hold for you, because it is a concept that a lot of people really don't have a lot of clarity on. So in the world that I live in, when I look out into the universe, I see a matrix of intelligence in the universe. And the more I study the universe, the more I see this matrix of intelligence. I see order, I see universal laws, I see possibility there. And I see that gives me a lot of confidence and faith that there is more discoverable, leaving literally order in the chaos, if you will, right? I reflect on Einstein, Albert Einstein, who said that, you can look at life like everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle. You can't prove it one way or the other. But there's a big difference in the consequence of what you choose to believe. And I look at the life, I look at the universe, and I see a series of miracles there. And I see that intelligence, that matrix of intelligence, holding that fabric of existence together. If any of you are students of science at all, you'll recognize the second law of thermodynamics, which is commonly referred to as entropy, which loosely states that systems left to their own accord go to their least organized state. And certainly that's true. Any of you that are parents or have children that are not just infants, but as they get older and have their own rooms and so on, just leave a teenager's room to its own accord for a few weeks, and you will see entropy at its highest order, right? So what is it that keeps that chaos, that entropy from manifesting things down to their least organized state? Well, that is really what the matrix of intelligence is about. And so I see that matrix of intelligence doing really cool things like creating guidelines and rules like the law of gravity. I see it keeping planets in orbit and so on. And I see that matrix of intelligence everywhere, and I see it in you, I see it in me, I see it in all beings, in all things. And what's interesting about that matrix of intelligence within us, what Leon Letterman called in his famous book, The God Particle Within, is each one of us wants to express ourselves from a truly unique space, from that most authentic part of us. All living beings want to do that. A salmon always wants to swim up the same stream every year. A goose always wants to fly south in the winter. A moth always wants to go to a light. There's an innate desire to express from within each living being. And that's true of all beings, and I contend it's true of you. And to the degree, and me, and to the degree that you can get that clarity about what it is inside of you, that most authentic part of you, that God particle, if you will, to use Leon Letterman's language, then to the degree that you can tap into all of the creativity, all of the power, all of the wisdom, all of that essence that is, that matrix of intelligence that is out there when I look into the universe. That older, deeper, wiser part of you, that part of you that only your BFF knows, that part of you that cares about you on your good days, your bad days, and your ugly days, that wise part of you, that's your most authentic self. And as I said earlier, that part of you is connected to that wisdom, that creative energy, and that power that is in the cosmos. And that's really what you have access to when you clear away the debris that allows you to get to that most authentic part of yourself. One of the questions that commonly get asked is, what does it look like to be connected to your most authentic self in relationship, right? And in relationship, really you're in that space where you're truly in that unconditional loving space, where you don't just care about your partner, love your partner when they're good, when they take the garbage out, when they say the right things, when they do the right things. But you're truly able to just be authentic and real and honest and vulnerable, which is a very scary word for a lot of people, and was for me for many years, in relationships, so that you get a chance to really just connect at that deepest, most fundamental level. And I can tell you from living in relationship from a different space, from not being in that space, and then being in relationship in that space, it's worthy of the effort, folks, to get to that space of authenticity in relationships in an everyday life. And I'll give you an example or a metaphor just to help you put a face to this or a visual to this. Who do you know that has more energy than a 2-year-old child? In my chiropractic practice, I had a very family-oriented practice and treated a lot of children and on a wellness basis. And you have these little 2-ish-year-old children that are just terrassing around the building and running, and they're just so authentic, and they're just so full of life, and they're so full of love, and they're just expressing themselves, and they're full of curiosity, and that's what's possible for all of us. I contend that that's our birthright. It's this messed up version of us that gets in the way of that doesn't allow us to have that birthright, doesn't allow us to have that energy, that passion, that authenticity, and that connection. Because being a father of 5 daughters who are now getting a little older, my oldest will be 24 in a little while, and my youngest is just still in high school. But I can tell you that one of the favorite parts for me of being a parent is that soft, gentle side, that side that allows you to just take that little 2-year-old and embrace them and hug them and cuddle them and care for them and all of that stuff. And the honesty and the genuineness and the authenticity that I got back from children at that age is just something that's profound and something that I think anyone could actually aspire towards. So one of the questions that comes up, folks, and I want to just talk about this because this is a big piece of what comes up at retreat, is so I get Dr. Tom that there is this matrix of intelligence in the universe, And we can't prove it or disprove it, but the consequence of your belief has a big impact on your outlook on life and the possibilities that open up for you. I accept the fact that there is a part of that matrix of intelligence in me, that my most authentic self, as you phrase it. So the question that comes up for a lot of people is, well, why doesn't it just shine all the time? Why isn't it just expressing itself all the time? And certainly there is a long, drawn-out philosophical discussion we could have someday that is well outside of the confines of this particular time together today. We just don't have time to get into that today, but suffice it to say that in my experience now, 17 years as a professional consultant, coach, and advisor, and retreat facilitator, that there are life opportunities that get in the way, right? There are hurts and fears and guilts and limiting beliefs and undeveloped skill sets and all of that stuff that gets in the way of us accepting and remembering that we are, you know, talented and fabulous and gorgeous and all the things that Marianne Williamson wrote about in her great book that is often attributed to Nelson Mandela's inaugural address that went around the internet a couple dozen times, right? So in my coach advising work, we use an acronym for these experiences that we've stored within. We call them ESOLs, energetic space occupying lesions, okay? And in physiology, we talk about space-occupying lesions like tumors and so on, and certainly we're not talking about that, folks, right? Let's be clear. These are ESOLs, they're energetic versions of that. But in physiology, a space-occupying lesion will eventually take up enough space on an organ system that will alter its function and ultimately damage the system and or, you know, possibly even bring about the symptomatic pain or, you know, in extreme cases, even the death of the organism. So we're obviously not talking about that, let's be clear, but we're talking about energetic space-occupying lesions. These hands, if you will, in front of your face that block you from seeing your most authentic self, that block you from seeing it from the inside out and from the outside in. And so those fears, those hurts, those guilts, those limiting beliefs, they all sort of, you know, pack up on there. And if I could switch to a computer metaphor for a minute, it's like they are, you know, viruses and Trojans and all of that kind of stuff that is spyware, if you will, that's got on your hard drive, and they're clogging up the hard drive. They're not allowing it to work efficiently and effectively. And as a result of that, everything just works slower in your life. You're not as effective, you're not as efficient, you're not as fulfilled, you're not as joyous. And so those are the things that get in the way of that most authentic, you know, essence of you shining forth, okay? Many times these ESOLs don't show up as, you know, fears, hurts, and guilts, but the symptoms of them show up in your life. And they show up as things like just things we've seen in retreat, alcoholism, drug addiction, sexual addictions, workaholism addictions. We've seen them show up in many different ways in many different places. And I'm reminded of one gentleman who came to retreat many years ago from the southeastern United States. And as a result of connecting to his most authentic version of self, he wrote a beautiful testimonial, which I may choose to share later. But one of the pieces that he talked to me about privately is, even though he was in the healthcare industry, he had actually had some addictions. He smoked marijuana on a daily basis just to sort of cope with his life. He also would commonly, you know, drink his little six-pack of silver bullets every night just to try and make it through yet another day, just to put his feet back on the floor the next day and, you know, try and do it all over again. And this has been going on for many years. It was a huge contradiction in his life. It was a block in his relationships. It was a block in his business. And as a result of connecting to a more authentic version of himself, he no longer felt the need to express himself in that way. And those symptoms, if you will, those addictions, just mysteriously and magically disappeared, which was one of the great benefits of that experience. Okay. Already talked a little bit about you know, who we are in relationships. Actually, you know what, before I do go on, folks, I want to just talk to you. I'm reminded of a story as I was thinking there about another way to think about these ESOLs that block us, that we commonly, you know, talk about and work at retreat. There's a famous story about Michelangelo, who's as you probably know, a great artist in sculpture. And in Venice, there's a series of sculptures of the King David. And he took this multiple, huge, you know, several-ton block of marble and really turned it into this gorgeous, lifelike sculpture of King David. And when he was interviewed for, you know, how he could actually do that, how he was able to accomplish that, he was quite mesmerized by the fact that people didn't get it, that all he did was chip away the parts of the marble that weren't King David. And that's really what I look at, folks, right, is we're the essence of who we are is pure and authentic, like that sculpture, a beautiful sculpture of King David. And all we got to do is chip away the parts of us that aren't authentic, that aren't, you know, really who we are. Right? Let's talk a little bit more about about literally what that looks like in relationship when you're coming through most authentic self. I contend strongly, folks, that all of our relationships, our intimate relationships, our business relationships, our friendships, are just mirrors for us. And they show us aspects of ourselves that we haven't learned to appreciate, care about, understand, or love yet. And so our intimate partner is just an absolutely phenomenal mirror for us to really get in touch with those parts of ourselves that aren't whole and complete yet. My philosophical worldview says that our goal in life is to experience and express life. Our goal is to become more whole, more complete, if you will, closer to the oneness or closer to God. And those people in our lives, those intimate partnerships particularly, as well as our business and our friendships, are designed to help mirror that back to us. And when we're in that space, we don't have to, and we understand that, we don't have to judge other people for being different than us. We can thank them for being teachers of ours. We can thank them for being guiders, if you will, for us. And I think now, back to my early stages of my wife and I's relationship many years ago, and I was reflecting on some of those button-pushing experiences that we used to attract to each other, and just some of the chaos that would go on in our lives. And we'd go at this particular, early in our relationship, we'd go at this particular piece because I saw her as being wrong because it was different than me. I saw her way of viewing the world as being wrong because it was different than mine. I saw some of her character traits that I didn't understand to be wrong because they were different than mine. And really all they were just another side of the coin. They were just another way to reflect back to me a part of life, a part of myself that I didn't understand yet, that I didn't love yet, I didn't care for. And so we would sometimes, some of these issues that come up in our relationship, I mean, we'd go head to toe for like, a couple of weeks, for heaven's sakes, to work through some of this stuff. And then as we got wiser, we got more authentic, we found that the same issues would come back up. And no one could push my buttons like my wife. She's my greatest teacher next to my children by far. But we'd come back up to that same issue again, but next time we'd go through it maybe in a week. And then as the months and years went by, and we continued to drop our egos, and we continued to learn and grow and become more whole and more expressive about our most authentic selves, that same issue would come back up, but now we'd go through it in a couple of days. And now some of those same issues continue to come up after all these years, but we'll go through them sometimes in hours, sometimes in minutes, and sometimes, quite frankly, with just a look. We will laugh now and move forward. And those possibilities exist for all people, folks, because I want to be so clear that I'm not unique or different than anybody that's watching this video or this program. I've had the opportunity and the privilege to have some great mentors and guides and teachers. I've invested a lot of time, energy into that self-evolution process, and yet I'm reaping the benefits of that because of the great life that I'm able to live. And really my entire desire as a facilitator at Retreat is to open that possibility for people to connect with that older, wiser part of themselves and experience the joy, the bliss, the fulfillment, and the abundance that's come in my life through my businesses as well as through my friendships, and of course with my intimate relationship with my wife and my friendships with my amazing friends and my relationship with my 5 daughters. It's just a thing that I love, and I love to be able to share it, and I hope to be able to share some of that with you if you're willing to take this journey with me. I want to talk a little bit then, folks, about what you can expect to experience at Retreat. One of the keys to a successful retreat, in my experience after 17 years, is the significant amount of energy we move over the course of our 4-day process together. And we use various and assorted techniques and exercises, to come face to face or confront those ESOLs that I talked about earlier, and as a result, work our way through those. So on the physical front, there's various physical activities we will embrace in, and every retreat's a little different. But there are tools that we'll use to move a ton of energy and to get that stuck energy in your life that's trapped in your body to get it moving. Tools we commonly use are movement activities like yoga and Taoist Tai Chi, as well as hiking, calisthenics. There's different modalities that we use there, but they're all designed to help you connect and move through places where you may be stuck. Because if you're stuck in your body, you're stuck in your life. If you're stuck in your body, you're stuck in your mind. If you're stuck in your body, you're stuck in your heart. And opening yourself up to possibilities physically opens yourself up to possibilities mentally, emotionally, and if you allow me, spiritually as well. We also use various mental emotional tools in various sequences to assist people connecting, things like meditation in various forms, active and passive, as well as quiet, as well as group. Native American tools and techniques, sound therapy, dyads. I mean, there's just a lot of different technologies and techniques not in our toolbox, if you will, of facilitation tools. And we always go into the program with a plan, but then we have enough tools that will often customize the program based upon the energy of the group and what's there. Accelerated learning models have actually helped us, as I said earlier, really get to be a very visceral, experiential thing, and just being able to enhance that experience by being so hands-on. And the facilitators commonly are right there with you doing the experiences because we don't want to miss out on the opportunity to continue to grow ourselves. And so it's a very experiential program. Is basically what I want to relate here. I would also offer that all of our locations are done in nature. Different locations in nature and so on, but they're all there because during that time in nature, we spend a lot of time in the outdoors. You really get in touch with the, the heartbeat, if you will, or the vibrational energy of the Earth Mother, of Gaia, and that also helps people to connect to a more authentic version of themselves. These are not places where lots of there's no cell phones, there's no computers, there's no business meetings, there's none of the distractions of daily living, which allows you to just get quiet and get still. And basically go back inside. So I thought I'd just share with you as we move through here a couple of testimonials of people, and just talk to you briefly about their experiences. And then we've got the privilege of having a couple of folks here that in a few minutes will share their experience live from the great state of Colorado. So hi, Jay and Christina. We're looking forward to having you share here in a couple of minutes.
Hi there.
So I want to just share with you a couple of testimonials. This one is from a gentleman that attended years ago, and he's attended several times. It's Dr. Bruce. Dr. Bruce says, I first attended Dr. Tom's Awaken Your Authentic Self in June of 2009. At the time, I felt it was perhaps the most powerful weekend I had ever experienced. I returned in June 2010, not sure if the previous year's experience could be matched. I found that it was even more powerful and life-changing. I went back again in 2011, not having any expectations, and again I found even more profound changes in my life and my business. My personal experience has become more potent and crystallizing with every return to awakening within itself. In a nutshell, over 4 days, I'm able to shed bad habits, bad thoughts, and emerge with a greater sense of who I am and how I practice my art. Awakening Your Authentic Self has made me a better healer, a better father, a better husband. It has truly changed my life. If that doesn't catch your attention, since coming back from June 2011 retreat, the incense I've put into action in the last 3 months has allowed my practice to grow over 20%. Dr. Chris says, this weekend was one of the most meaningful, loving, and enlightening few days I've spent in my life. I felt like I came back home when I first arrived there, and in the few short days I came home within myself. It's good to be back. My wife sends her thanks and her love. I know you worked hard creating and facilitating this, and I could see that it sometimes took a toll on you. The appreciation I have for you and the other facilitators is beyond my ability to express. A simple thank you will have to express. Dr. Kale says, as with many new experiences, it was not without some mild trepidation that I made the journey across Canada to participate in Dr. Preston's program. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I knew I wanted to be there. The weekend took place in an unbelievably beautiful outdoor setting. Over the weekend, we were challenged, supported, enlightened, and guided. For anyone interested in moving beyond where they are at or pushing through barriers, this weekend is a must. Dr. Tom was a perfect facilitator, amazingly skilled at removing those between-the-ears blocks. I left with invaluable skills that I didn't have prior to the program. My advice is to file all the excuses and reasons why not under G for garbage and get off your butt and just do it. You deserve the benefits that this weekend offers your life and your relationships. And finally, Dr. Steve. I've spent many hours and tens of thousands of dollars in my attempt to achieve personal growth, financial success, and some level of inner peace. My weekend at your program was the best bang for the buck I've spent in my 12 years professionally. I write this letter more than a month after the weekend because together I wanted to allow time for the short-lived impressions to fade. I'm left with the following long-term impressions. I'm more comfortable in my skin and more calm inside than I've been since childhood. I've reduced my escapist behaviors by at least 80%. No longer do I spend hours per day watching mindless television. I'm more accepting, less cynical of situations and people, including myself. I don't repeatedly relive bad situations in my mind. I'm quicker to calm and move on after an emotional upset. I'm more able to appreciate the success, abundance that already exists in my life. And I have improved self-confidence, confrontational tolerance. Thanks for providing the experience and inspiring hope in my life. So those are a few of the experiences, folks, that people have had at Retreat over the last 17 years. And I would like to introduce you to Dr. Jay and Dr. Christina from the great state of Colorado. They're friends and longtime clients of ours, have been to Retreat a couple of times. And I thought I would invite them to the program to just share their experiences at Retreat over the next few minutes. What it meant to them to be there, and and just their experience. So, Jay and Christina, please share.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here.
So we came to retreat. What was that? Summer of
September
September,
2011.
and we both sort of decided in our own roundabout way, without communicating to the other person, that at this point in time we were probably done with each other.
We had just gone through like a couple months of couples counseling, spent hundreds of dollars, and just felt that it wasn't working, and we were just done. So
It being our relationship.
we were already scheduled for the retreat, and emailed Tom and tried to find a way to get out of it, and find out what was going to happen at the retreat to see if it was going to be worth anything, and he just told us to come. So we just both figured, we registered for this, we're just going to come anyway, because Tom wasn't letting us off the hook, and we just figured we would just go and do it and just take our separate ways after the retreat.
I remember saying to Christina, we were in the hotel the night before in Bumble, nowhere, Canada. And I was like, we come all this way, this better be effing worth it. I'm done with this. And we were bickering about something something stupid that always became big things. And I remember having like an aha moment. You read about it in books, or maybe you heard about them, but I remember having an aha moment on the dock, and it wasn't so much like after this point like everything's going to change in our life. It was just like by letting our guard down, by becoming vulnerable, by letting fear go, by letting trust into our life, and Tom having facilitated all those things. I don't know how. I'm guessing it was all intentional, Tom, knowing Tom, but we were on the dock, and we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, okay, well, so we'll just start over. It was just like start from square one. And within 2 months after leaving retreat, we got married. And we went back to, I remember actually before we crossed over into Bumble, nowhere, Canada, we spent some time in Niagara Falls. And so Christina and I took a picture on what's the name of that, the ferry that you go out to by the mist. And we were bickering again that day. And so we took like a little selfie picture of us. And so Christina and I in the picture were both like... And so we went back to Canada after we went to Tom's retreat then the next year, happily married. We went back to Niagara Falls. We just hung the photo today of us 1 year later in Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Another selfie, all smiley and happy. And then 9 days ago, we just had our first daughter, who's not quite cooperating. Well, there she is. But this is our newborn daughter, Selim Joy, too. And her middle name is Joy because that's what's at the core of our relationship. It's at the core of everything we do. And this is this is our product of everything that really started that weekend, because that's where our relationship started. We met and we dated and we did all these things, but our relationship, the core of our family. Go ahead.
Going back to the retreat, we originally didn't want to go because we thought we were going to be doing like these little cheesy couples exercises, and we had no idea the real work was going to be on ourselves. And so we got the aha moment about ourselves and what we were each, all the baggage and crap we were bringing into the relationship and how it was affecting each other, and that's what made it work. And ever since that retreat, any type of argument, disagreement, anything we get into, we have all these tools, we work through it, and things have just been, they get better every day. And I know it sounds like very cliche, but it really has, because we've gotten better individually since that time, and that makes such a big difference.
And Tom will tell you that too in the relationship, that the only relationship that you're in, I walked in the call, I don't know if you said this, Tom, but the only relationship you're ever in is a relationship with yourself. So it's work on the relationship, yeah, but it's work on yourself. And I can't remember having one fight since we left that retreat that was like close to like a pimple of the things that we had going on with everything before. So yeah, we certainly owe Tom a a debt of gratitude. And if you're thinking about this retreat just a little bit, God, just do a favor to yourself, your loved one. Just go. Just please go.
I mean, there were a ton of other breakthroughs with other couples that weekend, but we had a huge one because we came back home together, and we're still together. And I see us together for a long time. So.
Thank you so much for sharing that, you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And Selim Joy, you are the byproduct of the love and attention that you guys give to each other, and I'm honored to have you guys join us tonight. Thanks so much for spending the time. It's very much appreciated.
Thanks for focusing on the details of our life, Tom. He doesn't let anything go, and that just speaks volume about who you are. You don't let anything go. It's the details that count, and it's just great. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you very much. Well, and a couple of great points that Jay and Christina brought up there that just to amplify them a little bit. One of the points you brought up is that, you know, the greatest relationship, or the only really relationship you have, is a relationship you have with yourself. And everybody else is just a mirror of that. And so those people that you're judging, you're just really judging yourself. Those people you dislike, you're really just disliking yourself. And here's the point that I want to get, folks, before we bring this program to a close, is that there are answers to those challenges. There are answers to those problems. There are solutions. There are tools. There are techniques. And retreat is a place that's the most accelerated, amplified, place that I've found to get the best, bang, if you will, for your buck of money and time and energy invested. I've made the bold assertion for years that I could do 6 months worth of coach consulting advising work in a retreat. And I've only ever been taken to task on it once, and that was by a gentleman, a great Southern gentleman, and he said, Dr. Tom, that wasn't 6 months, that was a year, son. And so, again, it's a great opportunity to really take these concepts that we've brought up and really expand them and just reap the tremendous benefits that's there in your life, in your relationships, in your businesses as a result of taking the time to invest in yourself and invest in the time and energy it takes to get to retreat. So what I want to do is just tell you a little bit about the details of retreat as we bring this program to a close. And a couple of things I want to emphasize. Our programs are very small and intimate. These are not large gatherings. They're usually 12 to 18 people. So you're not just a nameless number or a nameless face somewhere in a crowd somewhere. You're actually a real human being. And one of the things that often comes up that's such a pleasant surprise to everybody is just the quality of the people that are attracted to these kinds of programs. These are people that are committed to growth and development. They're committed to being vulnerable and being honest and just using the time and energy wisely to expand the possibilities for their lives, to become more authentic, and to learn to love themselves and others more as a result. Everyone is pre-screened in advance to ensure that they're willing to come and play, and if they're not willing to come and play at 100%, then quite frankly we don't allow them to come. And so you know that you're there with a group of people that are willing to grow. And one of the other great benefits is that you learn so much from everybody else that's there. I mean, certainly I'll take responsibility for facilitating, but one of the reasons I continue to facilitate is because I learned so much about myself by being there, because all of you are mirrors for me in that particular process. Our team of facilitators have literally facilitated at this point hundreds of programs all over the world, and I'll just stand by them as being really world-class people, world-class human beings who are on the journey, who continue to grow and evolve themselves, and as a result of that, they are worthy being full circle facilitators. Our next program is in beautiful Santa Barbara, California, our winter program. It's on January 27th to 30th. We'd invite you to consider that possibility. It's at a beautiful location called Restoration Oaks Ranch. It's a 1,000-acre ranch, and they literally built a retreat center on the property specifically for, certainly not just for our program, but for programs like ours. And we're really excited about that. The program starts late on a Thursday. Most people actually transfer in or come in during the morning, early afternoon, and later afternoon we start the program. And the program ends usually midday on Sunday. So again, depending upon time zones and where people are from, because we've had people literally come from all over the world, Croatia, Australia, the Netherlands, Germany, France. But again, depending upon time zones, people are often able to get home on the Sunday night. I'm one of those guys that when I invest in something, I want to be all in. And so in our programs, the investment covers literally everything. It covers all the food, the lodgings, the accommodations, the experience, the handouts, literally everything that makes the program what it is included in the program. There's no other costs for you except for getting there, depending upon where you live in the world, or again, some people will often come in a day early or something. There may be a hotel for that, but basically all of the costs associated with the program are included in your investment. The investment in the program is normally $21.95, and that's in Canadian dollars. So again, depending on euros or pounds or US dollars, there's often a conversion there, which is usually to your favor, quite frankly. But we actually have an early bird discount that's on until the end of January 31st, and that discount is around $450, which takes the program to $17.47 in terms of Canadian dollars. And you know, I don't know how to put a price tag, folks, on the changes and the shifts and the growth that I've certainly witnessed in my own life, as well as in the lives of the many hundreds of people that have been through the programs. But I can assure you that for me and my value systems, the sense of peace, the sense of gratitude, the sense of fulfillment, the sense of love, the sense of caring, and then the massive abundance that's come out of that authentic place of expression for me. I mean, certainly the quality of life stuff can't be measured. It's like one of those MasterCard commercials. But if you look at it in terms of the dollars and cents of it and the growth of my businesses over the years, it would definitely rank in the millions of dollars. So the relatively small investment, you know, $1,700, is small compared to the possibility for what's out there in the future. We'd truly love for you to join us, and we'd love for you to be our guest. You really come in as a guest. You're one of our treasured guests, and we do everything in our power to ensure you have the most profound and enlightening experience, you know, of your life. If for whatever reasons at the end of the first day you just really this doesn't resonate and it's not for you, we have 100% money back guarantee, and we're happy to refund your entire investment by the end of the first day and let you you know, move on your way. If you have any questions, I'd ask you to contact me directly at my private email, which is drtom, Dr. Tom, at drtompreston.com. That's Dr. Tom at drtompreston.com. And we would love for you to be our guests. If it's working properly, we've got a pop-in that's just popped in about joining us for the retreat. And certainly there'll be an email following the broadcast that will allow you to get some more details and information. And for those of you that are just inspired from the inside out to register, there will be an opportunity for you to do that, you know, at that time. So what I'd like to do then, just as we come through, if there's, is there any questions that anybody has, I'll just open up the chat room here for a couple of minutes, and we'll answer some of those questions. Naomi has asked, is it possible to see the webinar from Tuesday and missed it? And yes, the answer is yes. There's a link for that, and if you contact admin at drtompreston.com, they'll get that for you. Or if you check possibly your spam or junk folder, you would have got an email from us with that link there. So, anybody else have any questions about the retreats or the experience in any way, shape, or form? Please just note it in the chat, and I'd be happy to take a minute or two to answer those questions for you before we wrap the program up. Jill and Christina, anything to add while we're waiting for any chats to come in, or do you, because I feel like you expressed yourselves really fully there, but is there any other thoughts that have popped up since we were stepped back?
I forgot to add that things we learned at the retreat, but it just wasn't helpful with our relationship, but with like other relationships and our business. There was a huge trickle-down effect in every other area of our lives, just not between the two of us. So we just learned a ton about ourselves and how to. It's basically just rediscovering yourself, and I just felt like we both came away new people, and it was just reflected in almost every relationship we had in our lives. Family, friends, and everything.
And you consider we work together. So we live together, we work together, we frequently play together, but not always. And so it also gives permission for doing things that aren't the same. And Tom tells this great story about did you tell the peanut butter and jelly story about the guy who cuts his the crust off around the peanut butter and jelly, Tom?
I did not know. Go ahead.
You tell the story better than I do, but maybe you can tell that story quick, but because it's a good story. But he gave me permission to go skiing by myself and to love skiing by myself, and for my wife to have permission to not go skiing ever because she doesn't really like it. So I have these great Fridays all by myself. I love skiing by myself. And my wife is super, super supportive. And even this year with having the baby come, it's like, hey, should I get the ski pass this year? She's like, why are you going to change? Why are you going to do something that you love? Why are you not going to do something that you love? It's who you are. But I love the peanut butter and jelly story. Why don't you tell it if you have time? It's worth telling.
You're talking about the Wayne Dyer story about the soulmates?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Wayne Dyer and John Gray were doing their book tour for their books, and John Gray had just published Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. I mean, literally, John had us on different planets, for God's sakes. And they're down in the Australian area at that particular time. And so as Wayne was telling me the story, he was saying they get these people coming up to him, and they're just like, "Oh my God, I found my soulmate, and they're just so perfect, and they're so amazing, and and I start a sentence and they finish it, and and we both like to cut the crust off our little sandwiches together, and we just can't stand being apart." And Wayne said he'd look over at John and go, "Yeah, what do you give him, about 6 weeks?" Your soulmate's the person that just gets under your skin, pushes your buttons, and brings all of the passion forth, both the quote unquote good and the bad and the ugly. And so again, your soulmate is that person who literally knows how to touch your buttons, knows how to push you, because they are that most obvious representation of your disowned parts. Those parts of yourself that you haven't learned to love, experience, express, or appreciate yet, right? So.
The cool thing about Christina and the permission she's given me to be in her life is that I'm not always a super rosy, happy fella. And if someone is going to see the other side of me, like the part of me that isn't super awesome all the time, why not the person who is still going to love me in the morning and give me a kiss in the morning and tell me it's okay and give me permission to come home from work and say, "God, that just wasn't a great day. And well, I hate humanity today." Well, you don't really hate humanity. You just, hey, buddy, you're out of willpower. Let's why don't you go get a beer, and I'll put some sports on for you, and well, and here's your daughter.
Well said. Well said. All right. Well, listen. Thank you again, Jay and Christina, for taking the time, and Selim, thank you for being here, sweetie. You were very cooperative, very good. And again, I'm not picking up a lot of stuff from the chats. I think Rick was able to fulfill something for Naomi there about the replay from the Tuesday night webinar we did. So. Folks, thank you so much for taking time out of your lives for being here. We'd love to have you be our guests at Retreat. Please check the links and read up a little bit more about Retreat, or if you're just ready, just register. We'd love to have you. As I said, that discount, that almost $450 discount, is good until the end of the month. And why not save yourself a bit of income and a bit of money when you're going to be able to come and experience what you can experience and get that deep sense of fulfillment and joy and happiness and authenticity that comes from awakening to your authentic self, and then taking that awakening and bringing it into partnership and just living the sacred truth of what a really authentic partnership is like. So everyone, thank you so much for being here tonight. Jay and Christina, thank you once again. And folks, wherever you are in the world, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk with you real soon. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.